I think I don't remember Ken being Ken. I remember Ken trying to do the best to please his father. I remember Ken trying his best to become a man, even when he was a boy. You see, even at the point when I finished my class 8, and I did well, God is good, there is a time where you transition now to, you go through the rite of passage so that now you become a man. You start the journey of becoming a man. I remember when I went for the rite of passage and there were things that we were taught. At that point, I even didn't grasp the things that we were being taught because I was already being pressured to become a man. So the only thing actually I remember about that period was immediately after graduating from the place was my father bought me a very good shirt and a very good trouser that I wore for a very long time. That was the most memorable thing about the rite of passage, because the things I should have learned at that point after enjoying my whole boyhood, I didn't have a chance to enjoy them. I was already a young man who is a young boy. So the rite of passage didn't mean so much to me. It was just a physical activity. But mentally, I think the only joy I found was the shirt that I had and the trouser that I was bought. And I can assure you, I wore them for a very long time. And the shirt, the only thing that made me not wear it anymore was because I outgrew it. I grew a bit bigger. That was the reason why I left it, but I loved it. And even today, I remember it. Sometimes I see people who still wear them, and when I see that kind of a shirt, it reminds me of the pressure I had during my rite of passage. And so, it begs a question in me, even to the parents who are raising their children right now. What exactly is your desire with them? What exactly are you trying to bring out of them? Are you patient with them? Is it that you are so consumed with a desire for them to become something that you don't give them a chance or an opportunity to at least be themselves? I think I don't remember Ken being Ken. I remember Ken trying to do the best to please his father. I remember Ken trying his best to become a man, even when he was a boy. See, the problem now came when I transitioned into high school, because my desire to love God still was there. I loved God. I thank my father for building me and laying a very good foundation of me loving God and understanding the place of God in my life. On that, I really thank God because of my father, because that was a basis and a foundation of who I am today. If it was not for that foundation that was laid for me, probably I would be something bitter and worse. But I thank my father for that foundation. So when I went to high school, I only had two things. I desired to do exemplary well, and I also desired to serve God even in that space. But we didn't have money. Actually, for me to get to high school, we had to sell a pig. we had to sell a pig, and I actually went late. When people were reporting, I think, was it early February or mid-February? I think I reported in March. I only studied 1 month in my first year as a Form 1. And so I went with only one determination: to study, excel, and change things at home, and number 2, to serve God. So I reported in Kirwara Boys. I think now it's called Christ the King Kirwara Boys, somewhere in Katanga, and it was an amazing place. So when I reported, I was allocated a dormitory, and then I was told where to sleep. So I went and I put my box and my mattress. It was a double decker, so I put it down in the lower bed, and I rested. Only for the guy who we were supposed to share the bed with. He was a big guy, a brown big guy, I think a bit short, but he commanded his presence. When he walked, you would see that this this is somebody who is commanding his presence. So he came and he asked me, Form 1, what are you doing down there? I told him, this is where I've been allocated. He said, no, Form 1s cannot sleep down. You have to sleep up. Leo lazima ulale itara kule juu mahali kuni zinawekwa. So still no, you've not graduated enough to sleep down. You have to sleep up. But then I told him, no, I really prefer that I sleep down. Please just allow me to sleep down. He said, no, you are not supposed to sleep down. You are too young to be sleeping down. Go up. So of course I had to obey. He was a prefect, a Form 2 prefect. So of course he commanded the presence, and then he had a position to protect. So of course I slept up. I then remember I was still the small, fearful boy, and we had been given stories. The first day when I reported, I had stories that the dormitory which I was allocated, there were people who used to come at night. There were spirits of dead who used to come at night, and they would bring a lot of chaos at night. So there was still the fear of, okay, what will I do when the demons come? May God forgive those people who destroy the lives of Form 1s. Because there was a story. That dormitory used to be called Mocha. A story is told that there were people who, I think, crashed many years ago. There were students who crashed, I think, and then some of the bodies were buried in that land, and upon that land, that is where the dormitory was built. So actually the name of the dormitory was called Mocha, for mortuary. So there was fear of what will happen to me at night. So of course I slept, but then there are these funny dreams that you have. And so I dreamt the funny dream. I think we were going on a road trip. And then somebody came and tapped me and told me, please, you need to release yourself so that we can continue with the journey. And so I had to release myself so that we can continue the journey again in the dream. Now, morning came. There was a morning bell that was to wake us up. But I remember it was not the bell that woke me up. It was not the bell. It was the scream of a man in frustration. It was it was the screams of a man in frustration. I heard him say, Form 1. So I wondered what had happened. And so I peeped down to see what had happened. Unfortunately, the guy, is a big guy as I mentioned, used to sleep without covering himself, and then he didn't wear a shirt or a vest. He used to sleep without a shirt. So I remember looking down and seeing streams going in all sorts of directions. So I remember peeping and seeing streams going in all directions. So he started asking me, why would you do this to me? I think also there was a few drops that went to his mouth because I remember him gargling water and spitting. I remember him gargling and spitting water all over and spitting saliva all over. And so he was very angry at me. He actually said, I'm going to take you away from this dormitory. We have to take you elsewhere. I begged him. I told him it's not that I wanted to. Those were some of the struggles that I had. So I thank him. He was a bit patient with me, even though I messed him up. I am really sorry, by the way, wherever you are. Please forgive me. And thank you for being patient with me, because I found somebody who would walk with me. So he directed me, told me, now you have to look for a paper so that when you bedwet, at least it does not cross. And, get me down here. So that is how I began. And so every single morning, as people are waking up to go and take a cup of porridge, my first responsibility was to take my mattress or my beddings out so that they can go and get dry. So at Christ the King Kirwara Boys, of course, I joined the Christian Union, and I had a deep desire to serve God and, of course, continue in the growth in my belief as my father had laid the foundation. And so I used to attend church, I used to attend fellowships, I used to attend prayer walks and all those things. I also thank God for Kirwara Boys, Christ the King, because it also built upon the foundation that my father had laid and helped me become devout, even in the matters of the scripture and even in matters of Christianity. So in my continuous engagement with the Christian Union, I think the leadership that was living identified me, and they decided, why don't we pick this boy to also join the Christian Union? And that is how I joined. I think in the third term, that is how I joined the Christian Union leadership. And so I started serving God. I think my first post was a Form 1 and 2 representative. So continued serving God. But then the biggest challenge, even with the leadership of the Christian Union, was people wondered, every time I hold the microphone to preach or to encourage them, I am consistently telling them that God will bless you. I'm telling them that God will do you good. God will do this, God will do that. And so they couldn't understand, why are you so confident saying that God is going to bless us, yet God has not helped you stop bedwetting? It was really painful and also very discouraging that people look at you and they see you struggling with things that are beyond you, right? Because that fear promoted to me not being able to wake up at night to go and release myself in the right place. It made me fear so much that it just happened naturally. I wake up in the morning, and then it has already happened. And so that really messed me up so badly. And so the struggle continued with me trying to tell people that God will do this to them and God will do that to them. But I was not able to explain why He's not doing the same to me. But if there is one occasion that I remember so memorably, when I joined Form 1, the very first term, even after reporting very late, I did exceptionally well. Because I remember I scored straight A's in everything. And then my grade aggregate was A. And I didn't know that after a certain period of time, they had a prize giving day. And it came to be that the time they were giving the prize giving day was for the marks that I had scored in my first term. And so the whole stream, even those who had performed very well in the previous year, those who left Form 4, they were being awarded at the same time. So I was told that you are among the people to be awarded. So call home, tell your parents to come, so that at least they witness the good work that you're doing at Kirwara Boys, Christ the King. And so I called home and I told my father, please come and witness as I am being awarded for the good work I am doing at the school. And that is memorable because that was among the very few times I felt I had made my father proud. Unfortunately, I remember struggling to make him happy, not knowing what exactly pleases you, right? Is it me doing this? Is it me doing that? And so I felt this is one thing that I have done to make you proud. And so I called him and I told him, why don't you come and attend the prize giving day? And so he came. Of course, as I had mentioned, we didn't have money, so he used to come with that green paper bag. You remember that green paper bag that had, I think, a calendar, had a calendar on one end, and I think the other end had, I think, an animal or something. So he used to come with that green paper and bananas, 20, those bananas, 20 of them or somehow. So he came And I remember he had worn a very long coat. At that time, they used to wear long coats. So I asked him, why don't you stay at the back, right? So that I wanted to see his reaction as he's walking, among the parents and the teachers coming to receive my reward. And so for every subject that I had led as number 1, I was rewarded. And for every subject that I had an A, I was to be rewarded. So they started calling the names for months. Those who scored a straight A in Kiswahili, then my name would be mentioned. And he would walk from the back and then come and then take the reward and then go back. And then those who are the first in this subject. So he came so many times. I think he came over 10 times, right? And every time he came, I think was 500 Kenya shillings. But for everything that I had an A, that was about 1,000. So I saw him proud. And my goodness, I remember tears flowing in my eyes. Not because I had done well, but at least I had made my father proud.